Good morning, everyone. Today is the 11th of June, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. My name is Anne-Marie Band, and we're looking at SPY. I have drawn, well, I did draw a channel around the range of NFP Friday. So what we're going to look at is how price action is behaving relative to that. I suspect Wednesday after the Fed meeting and Chair Powell's commentary that we will move out of this range, but we are very likely to retest it in one form or fashion. Either we move down or we move up somewhere in the range. That is very likely to me, and I am still expecting by the dip formations. So that means today, if we fade down into the regions near yesterday's low, it looks like about 532. In the SPY here, we're going to find buyers. Up near 537, we're going to find sellers. This is my thought. Now, yesterday's price action was very compressed relative to NFP, but what we can see is that pre-market, we really have not breached that area, and sellers are really trying to force price down into the range. My suspicion is that we move sideways, and so this is going to be a range-based day. And so let's see what the range-based day looks like. If we take a look at the 30-minute chart and we use the volatility bands of the anchored VWAP, we can really see that, 532 looks like a nice buy zone, and 536 looks like a nice sell zone. And so that's what we'll go after for SPY. Let's take a look at the ES. We are in rollover, so volume is going to be a little bit gummy, as it were. And let's do ourselves a favor of collapsing the price action. We can see overall that what we are doing is moving in a compression, right? We have both lower highs and higher lows. We're getting ready for some kind of break. My suspicion is that that break is going to be measured by the movement outside of NFP. Okay, and so that is what I am looking for. The midline is really where we're fighting right now. That's about 53.50. That was a call wall a while back. So we'll see what the traders are doing now. I will check at Mentor Q and see what we've got in the lines in the sand there. Mentor Q being a really great tool to look at the formations of the option chains. So that being said, if we pull back into 53.38, likely to see buyers. If we move up into 53.75, likely to see sellers. That's going to give us the best edge. Remember, John Hoagland, though he's on holiday, always says if we open up inside of range and by extension inside of value, we're very, very likely rewarded for waiting for the right areas of the pullback to go long or the right areas of the push-up to go short. Again, areas to watch, 53.75 on the upside, 53.38 on the downside, and 53.57 to give us nothing but chop. All right, taking a look at the NQ, we've got the same formation. Ooh, these lines are already drawn. That's fantastic. Compression, not as dramatic, but you can see this NFP region between 460, non-farm payroll numbers last Friday, between 460.45 and 465.67. So what do we anticipate? A little bit of reversion to the mean. Now we could move sideways while the moving average catches up, or we could fade into the moving average. The same thing happens though. The further away we get from that moving average, the more likely it is that over time we will come back into that moving average. And what tells us that that might be a possibility is that we fail to close higher. Now, yesterday we did close higher. We closed higher than the NFP close of the day, as we did in all the others, but we are fading back into the range. And so that range is something that we want to watch for. Where's the midline? 462. So pullbacks or buy zones. If we get into 460 and we don't immediately bounce, step away, because we could have that fade into that heavy congestion that really comes all the way down to maybe 455, 456. Let's take a look at the NQ. All right, NQ, This would be, let's pull this down into yesterday's ranges, and then we will draw a channel that tests the NFP range. And we can see that we're stumbling right in the middle of it, right? Let's move this out of the way. It's a little bit noisy. Potentially we'll be here. All right, so let's take a look at these numbers. At the very top of the NFP range, we've got 19,156. Yesterday, our high was 19,129. Again, we're making lower highs and higher lows, so we are in a price compression. Trend is up, momentum is up. But remember, if trend is up and momentum is up, and we aren't making higher highs consistently, or making higher lows consistently, we're sitting in a range. And so sideways action, very likely, but any sharp dips, we're going to look for buyers. Could today's price action be even tighter than yesterday's? Indeed, we could come into 19,000 and hold it. Absolutely, we could come into 19,000 and hold it. As a matter of fact, I kind of like that number. It's nice and round. It's the wick over from several days past. Could look good. Top of the range, 19,129. Looking for shorts. Down near 18,974 to 18,930. Looking for longs. Let's take a look at the YM. Have a look at this. These have all been triggered. Look at how different this chart looks. I mean, wow. All right, here's NFP high. That high number is 39,178. NFP low, 38,703. Yesterday, we came right in to kiss it. And we had another lower high, but we did close above Friday. So it is very sideways. Where are we sitting now? Right at the edge of 18,801. Who's in charge? Oh, that'd be sellers. Sellers want to push this price action down. What is trend? It's lower. What is momentum? It's negative, but lifting. So what does this tell us? It tells us there's a battleground in here. Notice the higher lows. This is what, for those of us that are trying to be simplistic and say, okay, trend is downward, momentum is downward, I'm going short. That's not what that means. You know what the prevailing element means, but what are the individual points of action telling you? And these higher lows say, I'm going to test resistance. And indeed we did. Take a look. This is anchored to the lowest low and the highest high of the near-term region. That's what this is doing right here. And you can see we are underneath both of these anchored VWAPs. That's bearish. So the big bounces are going to be sell zones. Where might those be? Anywhere from 39,105 to 39,000. And where's the target? 38,710. We're really right now at 38,785. And then below that, 38,650. And then 38,550. This is my thought. Might be careful with the YM, but still negative. My suspicion is that this might be telling us a bigger story, but we shall see. We shall see. Let's take a look at the oil. I think oil's rolled. For those of us that have been listening to me, remember, my thought is watch the trend. If trend is negative and momentum is negative but lifting, you know the price action is moving towards resistance. And I said, where is that number? 78. 78 is great, right? And so from 78, we might be able to test 79, but we are coming into anchored VWAPs that suggest we've got negative momentum. Now, hedge funds are positioned at their lowest rate of exposure to oil than they have been in some time, but the hedge funds really have not been doing that well, in my mind, in terms of tracking what's going on with oil. It's any man's game right now. And remember, we're in an election cycle and everyone's counting on oil to fade. I don't really think this one's going to hop up anytime soon. Just my thought. Finally, let's look at gold. Gold is dancing around that 2300 area. What is trend? Down to flat. What is momentum? Down, but the lines are positive, right? They're in positive regions, not negative ones. And so this is a sticky bit. My thought is that it bounces around this area. I do believe gold is going to bounce. And where it's going to bounce, I don't know, but I sure do like it. I like it stabilizing down here. I think it's a good thing. But we have negative trend and negative momentum. And so until we stop making new lows, we don't have anything that tells us from a daily perspective that we're moving in the right direction if we take a long. All right, last thing I want to look at really, I know, maybe XY, which one is this? VIX, no, don't want to do that. Sorry, TLT. Okay, let's take a look at what's going on. Look, lowest low, highest high, near-term formation. That's telling us it's bullish, right? So the bond market is still suggesting that yields are going to fall, and they are likely to come in, maybe 25 basis points in September, but not before. I don't think before. It's bullish, which means yields are down. Anyway, that's it, and I'll see you on platforms.